They said the dead do not return, that once a man is buried, his story ends in the dust. But what if death was not the end? What if a man buried in Nigeria was found alive years later in another country, living, breathing, with a wife and children? This is the story of Nonso Okafor, a man whose life and death became one of Africa's most mysterious true-life tales. In Nsukka, Enugu State, Nigeria, the name Nonso Okafor carried laughter. He was the kind of man who made everyone feel seen, tall, handsome, humble, with eyes that always looked as though they carried a secret joy. He was a young spare parts dealer, full of ambition, and known for his kind heart. Every morning before heading to the market, he would kneel beside his mother's old chair and say, "Mama, bless me, I'll make you proud." His mother would smile, resting her hand on his head. Asterisk, "Go well, my son. May God's light go with you." Asterisk. To his friends, Nonso was a hustler. To his parents, he was hope. To his sister, Chidinma, he was everything. It happened on a wet Tuesday in June. The rains had just begun, and the red earth roads of Enugu were slippery with mud. Nonso was planning a trip to Lagos to restock his goods. He had just gotten a big order, enough to finally expand his small shop into something bigger. "Mama," he said, "that morning when I return, I'll start building that new house we talked about." His mother laughed. "Let me first see you return before we start building castles in the sky." He hugged her tight, unaware that it would be the last time she would feel his warmth. By afternoon, he boarded a commercial bus bound for Lagos. It was a long, crowded ride. 16 passengers, luggage, noise, and the smell of rain. They played music, joked, and even prayed before departure. But around 7 p.m., as the bus reached the notorious Benin-Ore highway, a trailer appeared out of nowhere. The road was slick, the lights dim. The driver tried to swerve, but it was too late. The sound was deafening, metal crashing against metal, glass shattering, screams fading into silence. By morning, the news spread across Enugu. A fatal accident, many dead. Among the bodies recovered was one that matched Nonso's description. His ID card was found beside the wreckage. They brought the body home, burnt, unrecognizable, but the clothes and wristwatch matched. His mother screamed until her voice broke. His father sat like stone, unable to cry. That Sunday, they buried him beneath the mango tree behind their house, the same tree under which he'd learned to walk as a child. For days, mourners filled the compound. The air was thick with grief. His mother stopped eating. His father grew silent. His sister, Chidinma, began dreaming of him every night in each dream. He called her name, Dima. "I'm cold. Don't forget me." Years passed, but grief clung like a ghost. While others moved on, Chidinma couldn't. She believed something wasn't right. There was no closure. The body hadn't looked exactly like him, and her dreams refused to stop. Sometimes she'd wake at midnight to the sound of footsteps outside her window. When she opened the curtain, there was nothing, only the mango tree swaying in the dark. Her mother forbade her from talking about him. "Let the dead rest," she'd say. But how could she rest when every night she saw her brother alive in her dreams? Meanwhile, hundreds of miles away in Ghana, a group of fishermen in Ada found a man lying unconscious near the Volta River. He was bruised, weak, and barely breathing. They pulled him to safety, gave him water, and asked who he was. He opened his eyes slowly and whispered, "My name is Nonso." He couldn't remember where he came from. He couldn't remember his family. The only thing he had was a name and a feeling that he didn't belong there. The fisherman took him to a small hospital in Accra, where he recovered over the next few weeks. When the nurses asked about his nationality, he said he wasn't sure. His accent was strange, Nigerian, perhaps, but with a slur as if his tongue had forgotten how to speak. After being discharged, he had nowhere to go. He began working in the market, carrying loads for traders. One of those traders was Amma, a widow with a quiet smile and a heart too kind for her own good. Amma gave him food, then work, then a place to sleep in her small shop. In time, she gave him her heart. Amma and Nonso's relationship grew like a flower in drought. He was gentle, grateful, and hard-working. She was patient and full of faith. They married within a year. Though Nonso remembered nothing of his past, he proved to have a natural gift for business. He started selling auto parts, a trade he claimed just felt familiar. Within 5 years, he owned 2 shops in Accra and a house in East Legon. To the outside world, they were the perfect family. To Amma, he was a miracle, a man reborn from pain. But deep down, she noticed something she couldn't explain. Some nights, Nonso would wake up drenched in sweat, screaming names she didn't know. Mama, Dima. At other times, he'd stare at the wall for minutes, whispering in a language that sounded ancient and heavy. Once, during a heavy storm, Amma found him outside, barefoot, standing in the rain, mumbling, "The road is long. I can't find my way home." When she touched him, he turned sharply, his eyes distant, almost lifeless. Then, just as suddenly, he smiled, hugged her, and said, "I'm fine." But he wasn't. By their 7th year of marriage, Amma had given birth to 3 children. They moved into a bigger house. Life was comfortable, yet peace seemed to elude her husband. He would sit on the balcony at midnight, staring at the moon, his face pale and his body trembling. Sometimes he'd fall silent for days, lost in thoughts no one could reach. Then strange things began happening. The lights flickered at night, mirrors fogged up with handprints. The children complained of hearing footsteps when their parents slept. One night, Amma woke up to find Nonso standing beside the bed, whispering, "They won't let me rest." "Who?" she asked. He turned, tears in his eyes, and said softly, "My people." Amma grew worried. She searched through his belongings one morning while cleaning, and that's when she found it. An old burnt Nigerian ID card tucked beneath his shirt. The photo was faded, but the name was clear. Nonso Okafor, Nsukka, Enugu State. Her hands shook. Her husband wasn't Ghanaian at all. He was Nigerian, and according to the date on the ID, he should have been dead years ago. That night, she confronted him. "Nonso, who are you?" she asked, her voice trembling. He didn't answer at first. Then he said something that sent chills down her spine. "I think I was buried once." Amma froze. He told her that he often dreamt of being trapped in darkness, unable to move, hearing people crying above him. He said he woke up one day by a riverbank, alive, but with no memory. Amma couldn't believe it. "You mean you died?" He looked at her with hollow eyes. "I don't know what I am anymore." Amma couldn't sleep. She needed answers. The next day, she called a friend who had connections in Nigeria. Using the ID card, they traced the address. A week later, she received a call from a woman in Nsukka. The voice was weak, but steady. "Who are you?" the woman asked. "My name is Amma," she said. I think I'm married to your son." There was silence on the line. Then the woman cried out, "That's impossible. My son died years ago." Amma sent pictures. When the family saw them, they wept. The face was older, but unmistakable. Their Nonso. His mother fainted. His sister screamed. Even his father, who hadn't cried in years, broke down. Within 2 weeks, they were on a bus to Ghana. When Nonso saw his family at the hospital, something inside him stirred. He collapsed, then woke up whispering, "Mama?" His mother rushed to his side, crying uncontrollably. "Nonso," she said, touching his face. "How can this be? We buried you." He nodded slowly. "I know, Mama. I saw it too. I heard your cries, but I couldn't move. Then I woke up somewhere far. No one could explain it. Not doctors, not pastors. Some said it was a miracle. Others whispered that he had crossed into the spiritual realm and returned. But the mystery deepened. After reuniting with his family, Nonso began having violent episodes. He'd shake uncontrollably, his voice changing as if multiple people were speaking through him. Sometimes he'd cry. Sometimes he'd laugh hysterically, saying, "They want me back." His wife Amma and his mother joined hands in prayer, trying to fight whatever unseen force tormented him. Then one night, he called everyone together and said, "Mama, Amma, Chidinma, if I sleep tonight, I may not wake up. But don't cry. I was given a chance to love again, to build again, to make peace." He smiled faintly, his voice calm as he says, "Life and death are closer than you think. Some people cross the river twice." That night, as rain fell softly outside, Nonso took his last breath, peacefully this time. Amma screamed. His mother collapsed, but strangely, his body was warm for hours, as though life refused to leave him. They buried him beside the mango tree once more. The villagers gathered, whispering about the man who died twice. To this day, no one truly knows what happened. Was it reincarnation? Was it a divine second chance? Or had death simply made a mistake the first time? The story of Nonso spread across Nigeria and Ghana, drawing journalists, pastors, and skeptics alike. Some claim to have seen him in their dreams, smiling, walking along the riverbank, his reflection clear in the water though he was gone. And every June, on the anniversary of his first death, the mango tree behind the Okafor compound blooms brighter than any other tree in Nsukka, even when others around it wither. They say death is the final truth, but for Nonso Okafor, death was merely a doorway, one he walked through, returned from, and walked through again. No one can explain it. Not science, not faith, not time. But one thing is certain, love never dies. And sometimes, even the grave cannot silence a soul that has unfinished stories to tell.